What's going on, peeps? It's your boy Perfection back again with another video. This one is entitled Monkey See, Monkey Do, No Pain, No Gain. Or should we say no pain, no gain. Monkey See, Monkey Do. It's two separate subjects, but we're going to put it into one video. It's my second take at this because the first take had someone that interrupted me. This kind of comes off from the last video. Okay, there's a movie called The Experimenter. It's very important. I suggest people watch it. Definitely, I've started putting documentaries and movies and lectures into my kind of into my descriptions now, underneath my videos, because I think that if I find something that I think is useful, it's good to share it with you guys. And one movie that's really good is called The Experimenter. Another one I suggest you watch is Casualties of War. Why would I suggest you watch these movies? Because monkey see, monkey do. Okay, The Experimenter is about a movie made because there's times in our lives where people, human beings, will genuinely follow the advice of other people without checking as to whether the advice that they're taking is actually legit, is actually kosher, is actually safe. A perfect example of that was in the movie Casualties of War, based upon Vietnam, the Americans invading Vietnam, and a group of Americans went into this village and there was no soldiers there. They were all unarmed. All there was just basically really women and children. There wasn't really many men there. And one of the soldiers that was young, because they were young back then, like you could have officers like lieutenants and sergeants or whatever at 19, 20, probably even 18. And one of them told the soldiers underneath them to line up the people of the village and kill them, kill women and children. Okay, these were the orders that were given to them, and the soldiers then lined up the women and children of the village and shot them dead. And afterwards, one person reported it. After the war had ended, one person reported it, and it then became a big thing. How was it that these soldiers could line up innocent women and children and shoot them to death based upon an order that was given to them? Now some people will say, well look, it's obviously if I'm getting ordered by my sergeant or my lieutenant, someone above me, then I'm going to do it. And that's what was the whole point of this video, monkey see, monkey do. Because if that's the case, I could then as a sergeant say to my soldier underneath me, right, grab a rifle, shove it up your own rear end and pull the trigger, and he's likely to do it. Do you understand where I'm coming from? It was a case of, how far would you go if given the order? Because it's something like that which is wrong, killing innocent people, and it's wrong for even before you entered war. Common sense tells you that thing. You're killing children here. If you can kill someone based upon the order given by your superior, how far are you willing to go? And that's what happened in Casualties. That's what happened around the filming of Casualties of War. That's where the whole non-fiction side of it came from. But inside of the movie, something else happened which is important as well, and that's that a woman was raped in the movie. And what happened is the sergeant holds this woman down, the Vietnam woman, and he rapes her. And he turns around and he says to the rest of his crew, or whatever you want to call them, squad, right, it's your turn. And some of them were hesitant to do it. I don't really want to do that, Sarge. And he was like, come on, stop being a pussy. Look, what, you really don't want to do this? You're going to make it seem like I'm the only one that's doing this. So they were pressured into doing it. Monkey see, monkey do. And they began raping. One after another, they began raping the same woman. And one particular guy stood down and said, no, I'm not doing it. I refuse to do it. I'm not going to rape that woman, Sarge. And they were like, really? And he was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then in the movie, because he refused to do it, he became a liability. So then they were plotting to have him killed. Whether that actually happened in Vietnam, we don't know. What we do know though is that a group of Americans went over there, one of the sergeants gave the order to the lower ranks around them to kill a whole bunch of village people, and they did it. That's what Casualties of War is about. Experimenters aims to kind of figure it out. Like in the 1940s or 50s, whatever time it was, there was one particular guy that said, right, let's look at why this is happening. How does someone who's given an order by somebody else, because they're in a higher position, so say it was at work, because in Experimenters, what they did, just in case anyone hasn't seen it, is this: they hired someone for a job. They made up this fake makeshift office. They hired this person, and he was going to be paid, again, you'd have to watch the movie yourself, say he was paid $70 or $40 for the day. All he had to do was sit behind the desk. Very simple instructions: sit behind the desk, and they were going to, on the other side was going to be a patient wired to this machine, and every time they gave the incorrect answer, all the other person had to do that was hard for the day was shock them. Something as simple as that. But as the person began shocking them, the person on the other side started to experience pain. And what would happen is someone would come into the room with the person that was actually giving the person the pain, and they would turn up the voltage on it. And some people would say, you know, he seems to be really hurt on the other side. I don't want to give him that electric shock anymore. And the person would say, no, continue to do it. And they would turn up the voltage. And it was to see if you're giving the orders by somebody else, how far you're willing to go. Now that we understand all of this thing, we can get back into, you know, what happened in China as far as I'm concerned. And not just China, many other countries too. Because this has nothing to do with China. This has something to do with ignorance. And it has something to do with social awareness. It also has something to do with bullying. It also has something to do with being a follower or being a sheep. You know, this has something to do with standing up for what you truly believe in and having the balls to do it as well. And it also has something to do with exhaustion, fatigues. In regards to the movie Casualties of War, what they said in that movie was the reason why the soldiers carried out the ghastly acts on village people, women and children, is because the soldiers were fatigued. They were sleep deprived. They were hungry. They were just totally exhausted. And because they were totally exhausted, they never questioned, when the order was given, they never questioned, wait a minute here. They just said, look, I'm too tired, let me just do it. Whatever you say, sir, I'll do it. That's what they claimed. But what the movie Experimenter showed was it has nothing to do with sleep deprivation or exhaustion. It has something to do with, sometimes when we're in role, sometimes, say you went to a job to work on a perfect example I can give you, say you went to apply for a role at McDonald's. I want people to listen to this, because there's many times I've been in certain, I've applied for certain jobs, and suddenly what I've seen on the day of training, and then suddenly what I'm expected to do on the day of work are two completely different things. What I've read in the training manual about how to stay safe, and then what I'm doing on the day are two completely different things. Sometimes you're in a job where it's safe, where, like, for example, there's one job I was in where I was throwing parcels over people's gates because they weren't in order to save time. And then there's other jobs where I might be on a construction site and they're telling me to do something which can put other people's lives at risk. I could be done for manslaughter, and because the order was given to me by someone higher than me, I continue to do it. I'll give you a few other examples actually, but since we're going to go into examples, we mentioned rape. I gave you from the previous example of the previous video, I gave the example of 6 people beating up on a paedophile, and you continue to join in because of a rumor you've heard, or because you feel pressured that if you don't join in on the attack, then you're a paedophile yourself. And I've come across people like that as well. If you're not with us, you're against us. And sometimes it's been people I don't even know, like randomly out in the street. I'm in a situation where if I'm not supporting that crowd, I'm against them. And it's scary. How do you deal with it? You know, especially if you're by yourself and you're outnumbered. Right. One moment, guys. Other examples. So we said gang rape. That's happened. Boxing. So Right. We're getting to boxing, drugs, fights, drugs. You may be in an environment where everyone's taking a drug and you feel pressured into taking alcohol because everybody else is doing it. Which leads me to my next thing. No pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. This is important how it ties in as well. But just to quickly end the last one, guys, on monkey see, monkey do. Imagine you worked at McDonald's and on the very first day training, you see a training video that says when you're giving people strawberry milkshake, you have to put 3 sugars of strawberry milkshake in the video, and they're very stringent on this in the training video. It says don't do it. Say 3 days later now, you're then hired by McDonald's and you're working in the restaurant, and you're about to give a milkshake and prepare a milkshake, and you take it round back and you put 3 sugars in, and the manager comes around and says, no, what you do, you don't put 3 sugars in, you put 8 in, and you turn around and you say, but the training video said I can only put 3 in because you can overdose on sugar and some people are diabetic. And he turns around and he says, forget the training video. If you don't put more than 3 sugars in, people don't buy the strawberry milkshake. It's as simple as that. Okay, we're doing what works here. Okay, forget the training video. In that split second, you're a bit confused. Most people are. And what the whole movie Experimenter shows you is that most people, provided the orders come from your superior, you're most likely go along with it. So you're most likely saying, okay, if he tells me to do it, I'll do it. And you'll put 10 spoonfuls on, knowing that the training video has already told you that people could die from overdosing on sugar. That's what the whole monkey see, monkey do, Experimenter and Casualties of War is doing. Now we're going to move on to something else, which is no pain, no gain. Okay, because I had boxing written down on this. Some people have the mentality that what a perfect example I can give you. Yeah, boxing. Okay, what boxing? I was watching a program the other day on white collar boxing. Apparently what it was some underground boxing. It's almost like a normal boxing club that you go into, and in this one, I think obviously you would pay because nothing's free, so you may pay, I don't know how much it is, let's assume it was £20 per session for boxing, and you got this coach walking around and he's teaching people to put their hands up and so forth, and what it is that you get 5 lessons, or 8, I think it's supposed to be 8 lessons in total, and then on the 8th lesson you then go into an actual amateur boxing match. Okay, but there was a lot of people there that when they started, they were told that this is how it's professionally done, that's how it's professionally done. So it's going back to my previous thing that I was saying, monkey see, monkey do. This is how it's professionally done, that's how it's professionally done, i.e. you don't go into an amateur fight without at least having 8 fights. But yet one guy was put into an amateur fight only having 5 fights. You don't go into an amateur fight fighting someone with a skill that's above you, okay, with a higher skill level. So if you're a rookie, the person that you're matched with is a rookie. Yet when he started fighting people, the people that are above him were journeymen, were ex-martial artists, were MMA fighters, okay. So the point I'm making is, when he's training now with these people and he's being punched in the face by professionals, he's told to man up, almost like no pain, no gain. Man up, take it on the chin. Stop being a punk. Take it on the chin. Okay, so he's fighting these guys, and some people he's matched with are professionals, and they're punching him hard. They're told to go lightly on each other, but this guy's punching him hard. He can't back out of this, because if he does, he ends up looking like a punk. So he's continuing to take that abuse. And it's a case of, at what point do you as a man in an environment like that stand up and say, this is unfair, I'm going to get myself hurt? No pain, no gain mentality. This is what this video is about. We've already discussed about how some people, without even knowing it, will walk into environments and start doing things that other people do, or doing things because someone superior to them has told them to do it. Okay, or maybe someone older than them. It may not even be necessarily in a job. Could be someone older, and they don't question it because the person's told them they then start doing it without even question whether it's safety or whether you're putting your own life or other person's life at risk. Now this is dealing with the whole, what do you do when you're around people that have that no pain, no gain mentality? I had a mechanic that was helping me with my van the other day, and had busted my I had a tennis elbow. I think I had tennis or gopher's elbow. I couldn't lift with my bicep. And he says to me, come and lift this thing for me. I said to him, look, I can't do that. He says to me, stop being a, man up. He goes, oh, we should put you in the army. And I'm saying, look, I can't do it. I've injured my bicep. And he's looking at me as if to say, listen, you're weak, or you're this, you're that. And I've come across many people with that mentality. A lot of them, from what I've found, when they're in the same situation, aren't able to do the same thing. They're very good at dishing it out. They're not very good at taking it. When they suddenly develop the tennis elbow or golfer's elbow, and you'll say the same thing to them, oh no, I can't do that, bruv. Well, what do you mean, no? What it is though is they're full of excuses. So it's this video is about letting people know to be aware of these kind of people. I'm going to give you other examples as well, because I just gave you an example of a mechanic, right? So let's think of some other examples of the no pain, no gain mentality. You might be really sick and you've had a dad that has never taken a day off work. As far as he's concerned, come rain, shine, or whatever, come rain, whatever, you know what I'm saying, rain, snow, whatever, he gets up and he goes to work. You're of a sudden injured now, and maybe you can't get out of bed, and this person's forcing you, this person saying, stop being weak, man, get up out of bed, and you're telling them, I can't do it. But because of the generation what they were raised in, they have no sympathy, no empathy for you whatsoever, and they're kind of forcing you out of bed. And sometimes it is the case where sometimes, like I said before about the mechanic thing, he wasn't strong enough. He's telling me to do things he doesn't have the balls or the strength to do himself. But sometimes people that are telling you to get up out of bed do have the strength to do the same thing yourself. But that's not always a good thing. It's not always a good thing. If I've got a pain in my arm and I just no pain no gain, I just get on with it. I say, you know what, to hell with this, I'm just going to soldier and get on with it. And rather than go to the hospital, weeks go by, and I'm soldiering it at work, I'm lifting up things and I'm soldiering it and all that kind of stuff. That's not necessarily a good thing. That's going to cause myself long-term damage. And if I got someone like that as a leader, and just because they're soldiering it, causing themselves long-term permanent injury, they now expect people underneath them and say, well, what's wrong with you, Dave? Oh, I injured my thumb. Injured your thumb? Listen, mate, I've had my injury to my bicep for the last 2 years. Get on with it. It doesn't necessarily make it a good thing. There was another example I was going to give of the whole no pain, no gain thing, which is dangerous. Okay, hard man. This is another one I wanted to give. I remember a guy in my school called David, and David used to bang his head on the locker, and he would somehow prove to other guy by banging his head on the locker, which again can cause long-term memory loss, brain damage, concussions, all kinds of things. He would bang his head on the locker to prove that he was some sort of a tough guy. And then maybe other people around him would injure themselves to prove that they were a tough guy too. Maybe they would fall over a wall and twist their leg and suddenly get up and pretend like it wasn't there and all that kind of stuff. And I found that a lot of the time, some guys end up doing these crazy things around women as well. Maybe taking a staple gun and stapling it into their hands and all that to show that they're tough. But me personally, I can't respect people like that, because I can't respect you for injuring yourself and thinking that in the long run you're some sort of a tough guy for it. I can't respect you for being a role model to people out there by injuring yourself. I can't do that. Yeah. Yes, I have got a video of my face kind of coming off, but I didn't do that purposely, guys. And I wasn't trying to show that I was some sort of tough guy. I think it's glad I put this video out there as well. I never injured my face at the time to show I was a tough guy. It wasn't done permanently, I can assure you. But I hope you got the gist of these two videos anyway. I'm going to pretty much leave it here. But what I will say to you is that just be careful who your role models are sometimes, especially if they're leaders, because if they're telling you to do things and they don't have your best interests at heart, or they're even worse than that, they're weak people that can't even do the same things they're telling you to do, you're going to end up permanently hurting yourself. Okay, real leaders won't have you out there hurting yourself. And real leaders, if you come into work and you're injured in one way or another, they're going to want to know what it is. They're not just going to suddenly say, get on with it, mate, I've had a broken leg for the last 2 years. Because if you've had a broken leg for the last 2 years, you should have done something about it, okay, rather than let it progress. But anyway, thank you for watching my videos. I hope to see you guys. You'll see me soon for another one anyway. Take care, stay strong, peace.